Today we're going over the Emblem banner releasing basically on Christmas Day for most of the world and Fire Emblem heroes. We'll talk about our new Emblem hero, plus briefly go over the extremely stacked banner lineup available this month. Due to most of the banner spots being filled in and the last two emblems being blue, green bow Emblem Lyn wasn't probably the safest and easiest expectation. The December monthly banner unit is also almost always a popular lady, so yeah, not a huge surprise. Emblem Lyn, by normal gameplay standards, is not that crazy. She is the first Gen 9 infantry archer with an exceptional 46 attack, 48 speed stat spread. The actual base speed might be 1 point off for reasons we'll discuss soon. To be honest, this could have been a much more wild offensive spread because Lyn has some defensive res, but they really aren't going to be saving her. She isn't going to want to take any counter attacks. For all the skills, Emblem Lyn has Attack and Speed Finish 4 and Panic Smoke 4. She'll get full value from Finish's extra true damage and can suppress the enemy, though you'll mainly want teammates to follow up on the Panic and full bounty doubler stats. Usually, I like to go over the Emblem Ring effect first, but for Lyn, let's start with her own kit. Lady's Bow is a 14-might weapon. Every turn, if within 2 spaces of an ally, Lyn gives plus 6 attack and speed and the Desperation status, plus a new Preempt Pulse status to herself and those allies. This is a slaying bow, and if within 3 spaces of an ally, Lyn gains plus 6 attack and speed with an extra 20% based on at start of combat speed. Lyn gets 7 true damage per hit with 50% DR piercing. Last, she has the generic potent follow-up effect. If you were to lower the speed roll to double by 25, if that would allow Lyn to follow up, she will trigger potent follow X%. For the most part, we've seen most of the effects here. Standard slaying, 50% DR piercing weapon with good bonus attack and speed, a hint of true damage, and a potent follow-up. The one new part is Preempt Pulse. Essentially, like the current batch of arcane weapons, this status gives -1 instant cooldown before the unit attacks. Technically, not a new thing, we've had Rally Spectrum for quite a bit now. Well, you can stack Preempt Pulse with Rally Spectrum, so there's that, and you can stack this with any other instant cooldown effects, such as from those new arcane weapons or something like Thor's new Worldbreaker Remix. Momentum is another good pairing. Along with plus 6 attack and speed and Desperation, Emblem Lyn just helps facilitate more offensive power for the team. For her unique 2 cooldown special, Lyn's engage attack is Astra Storm, boosts damage by 40% speed. If special is ready or is triggered and Lyn gets her potent follow-up attack, the potent hit now does 100% damage. That's it. If you're keeping score, Emblem Lyn is almost exactly like Emblem Marth or a green mythic healer. Both units have Desperation with full damage potent attacks. Thanks to Preempt Pulse and Slaying, Lyn immediately procs Astra Storm and she can get it ready again for the 3rd potent hit. 2 full damage regular Astra type specials. You will notice Lyn does not have no follow-up in her base kit. Her potent hit can still let her double, however, we want that 3rd full damage hit. Try to get no follow-up support if you can. If you thought maybe Emblem power creep was slowing down, well, sorry, try again next year. With the introduction of Emblem Lyn, we have a brand new game mechanic called Style. This essentially is a button toggle that replaces the dual/harmonic skill button. It also overrides those skills, but if Lyn is in a pair partnership, then the Style button is disabled instead. Unlike those mechanics, you can only use Style as a replacement for Lyn's action. Now, unique to Emblem Lyn is her Astra Storm style. Unit can attack foes within 6 spaces and 3 rows or 3 columns of unit, regardless of range. As you can see by the image, this is the 3-row 3-column crux or plur range, except with a cutoff of 6 spaces. This means there is going to be a 1-space nub at the end. Like in Fire Emblem Engage, Lyn basically gets to rain down Astra Storm from incredibly far away. Unlike Celica, she does not need to warp in to attack. Now, there are some drawbacks to this ability. Unlike Engage's engage attacks, Lyn is still open to counterattacks if any of the 3 conditions are met. First, ranged armors can still counter. Second, distant counter still counters. Third, if Lyn for some reason used Astra Storm style 1 space away from a melee unit, they're going to fight back. If she uses it 2 spaces away from a ranged foe, they will also counter like normal. In addition, using this style does not let Lyn move or attack structures. No after combat movement abilities or content will trigger. For combat, this is still treated as a ranged attack, so Aegis will work against it. Last, you can only use this style once per turn. Emblem Lyn is the closest thing we have to a Ballista in Fate, and we can finally get the true bolting experience, except, well, the bolting mage boss now has 100% hit rate. Going back to the countering conditions, Lyn can outrange regular ranged foes with this move, but ranged armors and DC users will still fight back. I saw a comment pointing out that technically, close counter is worded the same as distant counter, so it would be kind of funny if it did work against Lyn. Now, something important that was added later to the in-game notification is that styles can be used by the enemy AI. While there is a sense of relief of not having to face dual or harmonic skills in Eikthyrnir's offense or arena, that relief will get thrown out the window for styles. It's almost certain more styles will be added to units to use as a new mechanic for gameplay. Now you gotta worry about battling those in the future. Before we start worrying about future styles though, the first test will be Emblem Lyn's Ring. This essentially gives any unit Lyn's Astra Storm style in a weaker version. In white, it has all the same conditions we just went over, the only difference is the ring has a 5-space max range. What's new is that for any special triggers, you get bonus damage equal to the special's max cooldown value times 4. This does not apply to AoE specials. In fact, you cannot trigger AoE specials with this Emblem Ring. You can only use the long range attack with ranged units, you cannot use it on the first turn, and once used, it does go on a 2-turn cooldown. Basically, if you use it on turn 2, the next use is on turn 4. My first takeaway from this is that, Lyn can use AoE specials herself. As for everyone else though, this Emblem Ring has the same engagement range as Celica or potentially Sigurd. The main difference is you can't attack diagonally long distance, but you don't have to worry about needing the space for your attacker to actually step on to attack. Mountains or ice terrain's no problem, warp up or board can't slow you down. Basically, you can stay with the team to attack. I want to see if this can trigger dual strike or triangle attack. I mean, if we're gonna use Astra Storm, why not grab a brave potent attacker and actually deal 5 attacks? Besides long range artillery, Emblem Lyn is also here to share Speedtaker 4. This B skill is only usable by physical damage, infantry, and flyers. It has 6 effects. At start of turn, grant +1 great talent speed to unit, inflict -4 speed and defense on the foe, unit deals true damage equal to 20% speed, unit neutralizes any speed deals in combat, you get no guard, and last, after combat, if you attacked, you get +4 great talent speed. For those of you who missed Brave Alfonse, Great Talent is a mechanic that grants permanent stats to the user. If you wait 20 turns, Speedtaker gives you 20 speed. That's also the max amount of Great Talent speed you can get though. Now ideally, you're gonna have to fight to speed that up. Worth noting, Brave Alfonse does not give Great Talent speed, so there's no stacking to make things faster. In terms of combat, Speedtaker is honestly not that scary. First off, ironically, you can't give it to Ivy. Kinda weird inheritance conditions, and infantry already have access to tempo. Unless you plan to stall for passive speed, this skill doesn't give huge shifts in speed immediately. It also adds no defensive perks, and if you end up dying, then the +4 speed after combat doesn't really matter. Generally speaking, Speedtaker goes into that Assassin Strike category. It's a skill you use for pure damage if you don't need any other B skill effects. The true damage is nice and the no guard effect is good, but momentum also does similar things. Arguably, the instant cooldown might be better. I would say this skill is best for brave hits or desperation users because more true damage plus cooldown per hit. It also works well if you can attack safely to stack up on speed for later. This is where Astra Storm style comes in. Lyn can just bop units from a distance and gain a lot of speed each turn. Emblem Lyn is certainly no slouch, but her main gimmick is her long-range attack. Unlike the engage attack in the main game, it doesn't really work against distant counter, which everyone and their mom has been running for 7 years now. Like they showcased in the trailer, Lyn uses her 100% potent hit to bypass Shield Fighter. The issue is that in any kind of competitive mode, that Fjorm or any Far Saver has Hardy Bearing. Lyn will get 1 Astra Storm, and if that doesn't kill, they're gonna send her packing. This is a great offensive unit, but like any squishy relying on desperation, Hardy Bearing is kind of a death sentence in most cases. Lyn has 0 defensive perks as well. Similar to Emblem Celica or Sigurd or Brave Felix, the main issue is not really having one unit to tank Lyn, it's being able to protect your entire team from her attacks. Sure, maybe you can tank Emblem Lyn, but can you take Emblem Lyn, Emblem Celica, and 2 units with their rings all in one turn? At least Lyn's ring can't be used till turn 2, plus it's got a cooldown. To add to this, we have gotten more units besides the emblems with undefended. Literally, the new Layla can assassinate one target without Savior getting in the way, add Lyn's ring, and Another way to mess with Savior is Marauder. Since Lyn doesn't move, I could see Fallen Maria or Ymir being very strong teammates. You can activate their miracle abilities. If Lyn isn't doubled, then suddenly the Hardy Bearing tanks might be in trouble. Regardless of Lyn's performance, we got ourselves another emblem ring to grab. We're just about to be on our first full year of emblems, and my stance is still the same. Just to get access to the ring effects, these are the closest to must-pull units if you want to play competitive modes. For the rest of the video, let's go over the 11 other heroes on the banner. December is usually stacked thanks to the reruns of the CYO winners. Brave Felix, Bernie, Alfonse, and Female Robin are back to party. We also have emblems this year with Emblem Ike and Sigurd joined by Lyn. To fill in the gaps, Legendary Veronica returns in red, aided Reginn's back in blue. Heidrun is ready to gather up the greens, and Eikthyrnir is ready to help out his winter alt deliver those Christmas Day presents. Our last unit is going to be Mythic Rune. The Book 9 freebie is back for a proper monthly banner. Starting us off is Emblem Ike. The standard for tanking this past year, Ike's Emblem Ring helps others tank ranged hits better, although it does require someone special to be ready. For his own kit, Ike's a bulky distant counter plus no disrupt tank. His Great Aether provides unpierceable damage reduction based on his special's cooldown value at the time. This gets helped by Lagu's friend's instant cooldown before the foe attacks, and Ike also forces the enemy to attack first, even if he initiates. Now Great Aether emits a 3-row 3-column shockwave for 5 damage, and Ike heals HP based on the number of foes hit. With Lagu's friend, Ike gets a full DR piercing Aether, and then he adds flat DR to his massive amounts of percent DR. Finish adds some extra healing and with Kanto control, locking down mobile foes. Next we got legendary Veronica. She's a red mage cav who has a slang tone with a sweep effect if Veronica attacks grouped up foes. She also has offense and a follow-up with desperation. This lets her proc enclosure in a 1-2 combo. This special has no guard and is a full DR piercing special. Veronica is basically full offense, and units like Emblem Ike who can disrupt her sweep effect are quite an issue. Now, for skills though, Veronica has attack speed catch 4 for stats, speed and far trades 3 for Kanto, and panic smoke 4. That can give some enemy phase power, although Veronica doesn't really want to be the one taking hits. Our last red unit joins Ike as needing no introductions. Brave Felix has been a menace sword master due to Lone Wolf letting Felix act again after moving, and then again after attacking. Combined with Endless Tempest 3 movement, Felix can initiate from across the whole map instantly. You then need to deal with his innate double slaying. I'm honestly kind of surprised we've gone 4 months without another double slaying unit. Now, Felix also will have distant counter, adaptive damage, and just a ton of stats. He gets no guard, 50% DR pierce, a phantom speed effect, true damage based on speed, and then Excel flat DR. That gets a little bit out of hand with the actual Excel A skill, and then Gust provides 40% unpierceable DR. Felix isn't unkillable or untankable, but just like Lyn, he can reach someone who isn't prepared to fight him. Moving on to the blue group, we're going from one top tier offensive unit to another. Sigurd gets his first rerun. His Emblem Ring gives +1 movement and Kanto 3 or Kanto 2. You also get some extra special damage. Sigurd himself has Gallop, which is +2 movement with Kanto 3. Override is the main show though, as a 3 cooldown AoE special that does blazing AoE damage. It has a 3x3 box area, and if Sigurd hits 2 or more foes with the AoE, he gets an extra action. Paired with Momentum 4, Sigurd can charge Override with instant cooldown that procs on AoE specials, plus it grants a follow-up with true damage based on movement. He has Fatal Smoke 4 to reduce healing and bypass miracle effects. For his own defense, Override has 40% DR, and Sigurd has attacking defense Excel for flat DR. He also has a whole bunch of base defense. No res though. Our second blue unit is aided Reginn. Besides giving aids essence to use, Reginn offers 4 turns of -1 instant cooldown support. You can stack that with Preempt Pulse. For herself though, Reginn brings her own instant cooldown to proc her Safety Burst special both on her first attack and her follow-up. Her weapon has DR piercing specials to make it hurt. To survive, Reginn's got 40% DR on her weapon, unpierceable 40% DR from her special, Excel's flat DR, and then Flow Guard Force Scowl. After combat, she has Kanto distance +2, and then Shadow Shift to reposition allies with Kanto. Last up is Brave Bernie. She's a blue cavalry archer with some great offensive stats. Bernie's main trait is her Paranoia, which gives the team a status of the same name. Bernie deals 1 damage to her team, which Paranoia activates on. It grants Desperation and Vantage, but the Vantage part has to match ranges or the foe needs 3 negative statuses. For herself, Bernie uses Paranoia with her inexhaustible dual phase Brave Bow. This has Slaying, Kanto distance, true damage, and 50% DR piercing. From her C skill, Bernie hands on no follow-up support, and she can pass her penalties onto an enemy at the start of the turn. For fodder, Attack Speed Prime can grant close counter, but Bernie needs more statuses. She has Assassin Strike for instant damage and true damage, and then you got Curved Shot, which is a 2-cooldown archer special that scales off the foe's speed or defense. It also comes with 40% damage reduction. We've gone over Emblem Lyn enough. Besides having a copy for the Emblem Ring effect, Lyn is the only Speedtaker holder. It looks like another tier for only skill line. If you can get some tier 3 prereqs though, you can also grab Attack Speed Finish 4 or Panic Smoke 4 at the same time. Joining Lyn in green is Mythic Heidrun. She's a super tanky green beast infantry. We might see her on the New Year's banner, so maybe consider that. Heidrun's Divine Nectar is very strong, offering allies 20 HP instant healing, some flat DR, and hard counters deep wounds. If allies rally or movement assist with Divine Nectar active, then they also get another action once per turn. For more support, Heidrun has an attack, defense, discord, and deep wounds ploy up debuff. It also negates miracle effects. For fodder, Heidrun has Stronghold, which grants flat defense res and neutralizes at start of turn panic plus defense res debuffs. Tech and defense bulwark, though, can help slow down foes. Last, Brave Alfonse is a bulky axe Great Knight type cavalier. His unique gimmick is Great Talent, which is a mechanic that grants permanent stats in battle, just like the new Speedtaker. Every turn, Alfonse's special grants +2 attack defensive res to himself with +1 to his allies. When his 2 cooldown bonfire type special triggers, Alfonse gains +4 stats and gives +2 to his team. For other effects, Alfonse can gain +6 defensive res with +1 movement. He gets ×4 and slaying to charge special at all times. He has Kanto distance, true damage, plus flat DR, and then full DR piercing specials. Makings of a King gives 30-40% unpierceable DR as well. To add to that, you got Reopening, which gives 10-20% defense as true damage with flat damage reduction. For a fun skill, Alfonse has Fortifications to deploy Divine Vein Stone Vein, plus possibly Distant Counter if you hunt any Divine Vein. Fortifications and Stronghold in the same group is pretty nuts. For Colorless, since this banner was just this month, I'm not going to go over Rune again. Everyone gets him for free, so if you want to know how he works, I'll link my banner breakdown for the Book 9 banner. In terms of fodder, Rune has Flare and the still newish Slime Mirror. Free follow-up A skill with the potential for 5 true damage if you got statuses. As for Pulsive Ploy, this inflicts Ploy and Exposure, but instead of stat debuffs, the user gets -1 cooldown every turn. Pretty decent trade-off if you want to nuke some enemies. Next up, Mythic Eikthyrnir is back to tag team with his Winter All. He has his field buff buffing a gimmick of giving +3 to any field buff, plus 8 gives +6 attack and defense with bonus delver to stack more stats. For the Mythic All, he has Slaying with Kanto 2. He has Treachery True Damage with flat DR, also based on field buffing amount. From his unique B skill, Eik can always transform. He self-cleanses penalties, he gets a follow-up, and heals after combat. This also has huge attack and defense debuffs if Eik wins an attack and defense stack check comparison. For fodder, you can get Fierce Beast, which is the 2 cooldown DR piercing beast special. Beast Threaten applies panic and times pulse. You then got attack and defense excel for flat damage reduction. The last CY08 winner is Brave Female Robin. She can deploy Divine Vein Ice Tiles to slow down or trap attackers. That's not going to stop Lyn though. Robin gives +6 attack and speed and Kanto 1 support. She then inflicts Panic and Hush Spectrum, which can inflict Scowl on the foe. For combat, Robin has some nice perks like Slaying plus no guard, debuff neutralization, and DR piercing specials. She can get true damage and flat DR based on advantageous statuses. With Creation Pulse, Robin can get 1 or 2 instant cooldown if the foe has penalties. This can pre-charge Flare, and Finish 4 adds more true damage and healing off of that. That'll be it for the last monthly banner for 2024. As expected, we're ending the year off very spicy with the 5th Emblem hero. You have to start to wonder when they'll pull the trigger and skip over to the DLC emblems. You know they ain't gonna miss out on selling those house leaders. With the addition of the style mechanic, this could be a way to implement the switching of the house leader's emblem bracelet plus Erica and Ephraim's ring. A lot of Lyn's conditions are tied to Astra Storm's style specifically, so there's a lot of room for gameplay options other styles might lean into. Nothing seemed to indicate styles are going to come from emblems only. Personally, I think a lot of creative things can be done with this feature, but we're going to have to play against it, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. We'll see how it goes. That's all I got to say for now. Next up, I have plans to release a video for ZZZ later today. On Christmas Day, I'll be sharing my annual favorite units plus build projects for the year. If you'd like to see what I've been summoning in Fae, then come on by after you're done opening some presents. Thank you for watching, have a Merry Christmas, and I will see you soon.